I have lived in California my whole life. This state is my home. I've explored many of its cities and small towns. I've visited a lot of the state and national parks here. I've even ventured deep into the Northern California forest and explored the remnants of past civilizations we thought were lost to history. But with all my travels, there's a section of the Golden State I haven't ventured into yet, that being Humboldt and Del Norte County. Humboldt and Del Norte County are these states positioned at the northwestern corner of the state. Now, being from NorCal, I've heard a lot about the Humboldt area and Eureka, which is the county's largest city. I've even worked with people who frequented this coastal hub. But I'm more interested in what's beyond civilization. If you take a look at any maps, you'll realize that no one really lives on the Northern California coast. I mean, you have Eureka, Crescent City, a couple of one-horse towns, and a really friendly native reservation, but that's it. The rest of the land is Redwood State Parks, old-growth forest, hiking trails, and trees that grow so high their canopies disappear in the fog that rolls in daily. So I figured I needed a break from the hustle and bustle of my everyday grind. My independent projects were ramping up, my part-time job had me working deep into the night, and new career opportunities were close on the horizon. I wanted a good weekend getaway to really reset before I hopped back into my daily grind. So my friends and I gathered all our camping supplies, picked a spot on the map, loaded the trunk of a Ford Explorer, and set out to get away from it all. Join us as we explore the Redwood coast of California. We ended up leaving the valley at around 3:30 a.m. I was able to get a few more hours of sleep before I had to take over for driving. I woke up to this amazing sunrise over the Trinity County mountains. I've never explored Trinity County before. In fact, I don't think I've ever been to this part of California. We arrived in Klamath to foggy skies and cool, temperate weather. Since we had to make reservations for our campsite, and it was really busy in the summer, we still had a few hours before our check-in time, so we decided to explore what was up the road. We were driving up the 101 North when we came across this massive statue of Paul Bunyan and his fabled big blue bull. Next to it was a big wooden sign that said the Trees of Mystery. Since we had time to kill, we decided, hey, why not check out and see what this roadside attraction is all about. So we parked the car, bought a ticket, and then we ventured into these supposed mysterious trees. When we walked in, the first thing I noticed was an old wooden water wheel and a bunch of statues of forest creatures, which included a turtle, these cool bears fishing on a pond, and even this squirrel made out of, it looks like stone or marble. As we walked deeper into the park, we finally got our first good perspective of just how big the Redwoods actually are. The Redwoods are from an ancient time on this planet, some being hundreds to even thousands of years old. According to this sign that we read on the trail, the redwoods used to grow all over the world during the age of the dinosaurs. When temperatures rose and the Earth's climate changed, many of these trees were washed out and eventually faded from existence. These state and national parks along the Pacific coast and even some parts of China hold the remaining survivors of this ancient species of trees. The path wandered on and we saw all kinds of different funny looking trees, which my personal favorite was this candelabra one with these 3 trees that were poking out of the fallen over logs. So I've never seen that before. I thought that was pretty cool. We were passing some of the wood art in the area when I noticed a stairway was climbing into the trees. I looked up and I had no idea that there were rope bridges about 50 feet off the ground, high up in the trees above me. Coming down from the rope bridges, we looked at the trail and decided to follow it a little bit further when we came across this large line that was forming in front of us. As we got closer, we realized this was the next stop and the main attraction of our tour. It was the park's gondola ride, which led all the way to the top of the nearby mountain, which was completely covered in fog. The gondola dropped us off at the top of the mountain. The fog was so thick though, you couldn't really see a view or anything, but we still got some good pictures, and I honestly think the gondola ride was the main experience rather than the destination. Riding through the fog in the Redwoods on a gondola, that was so cool. I definitely recommend it if you're ever in the area. Once we got back down from the mountain, there was a lot more wood art on our way back down to the parking lot, and then we decided it was time to start setting up camp. Alright, camp is now set up. Here's my site right here. It's time to explore. Let's see what this area has. But it looks like the sun's finally coming out. And it's staying out. So yeah. This is pretty much just on the trail to the campsite. I'd say it's about a quarter mile in. Lots of blackberry and raspberry trees that kind of follow this way. But they're all picked, which is a shame. I was hoping to find some. We saw a bear earlier today, so I'm sure they're loving that the berries out right now. Now, one thing I did learn in my time I've spent a lot of times outdoors. This kind of wood, birch wood, extremely flammable. And it's good if you find bark in a, let's say, rotting log on the side of the trail or near your campsite. If you find birch wood, definitely use that for kindling. You'll have no problem starting a fire, I have no doubt. I'm in a state park, so can't exactly peel it off or take anything, but we brought our own firewood. There's a feeling in this area that's hard to explain, like how Humboldt and Del Norte have made me felt. Like, it's rugged back here, and it's quiet. And there's not a lot of people that live up here, and like, there's a lot of tourists. Yeah, it's like summertime, but like, look behind me right now. Look at that. It's barren out here. There's no one. It's so peaceful. So I'm going to keep walking on this road, but I want to see if I can maybe get over to those rocks over there. Maybe get a better shot of that rock. Let's see, right over there, yeah. You don't see a lot of like area like this. Like, it's empty. It really reminds me of the Washington coast in my time there. How, except up there, I feel like their winters are like even way more brutal. Everybody's been really friendly that we've met. But again, I haven't had any chances to like talk to any locals because I can't find them. Like, the nearest one is Crescent City, which is 15 miles that way. And Eureka, which is it's about a 45-minute drive from where we're at. The nearest town from us is Klamath, and even then, I think that's a native reservation. That's okay. Speaking of which, look at this. You see what I see? That looks like a house, doesn't it? A roof. Now, I wonder where I where I am right now. What did I just stumble upon? So I just stumbled upon this, walking down this trail and following the coastline right here. There's houses down here. But they don't look like houses like the rest of the houses, the very few that we've seen in this area. I don't think anyone's living in these. Here we go. Disguise to protect in Redwood National and State Parks. After the bombing of Pearl Harbor, which happened in Hawaii, during World War II, the possibility of enemy attacks on the U.S. mainland became very real. At one point, Japanese submarines operated in offshore waters and actually shelled some shipping operations and oil installations off the coast of California and Oregon. To guard against the potential invasion, the U.S. Army built the farm buildings you see below. The cinder block structures completed with shingled roofs, fake windows, and dormers housed an early warning radar system. So that wasn't a real house. That was just a radar building. Just to make sure that the enemy, at the time, of course, this is historically speaking, on the other side of that ocean, the U.S. was worried. And so they built this. From the air, the sea, and even the road, these buildings appeared to be part of a working farm. In fact, they housed a diesel generator, electronic equipment, and two 50 caliber anti-aircraft machine guns. That's crazy. Where did they keep it? It looks so small. As part of a network of observation stations, the soldiers and civilians stationed here reported any suspicious boats and planes to a communication center in San Francisco, ready to dispatch fighter planes if the crafts were identified as hostile. Guess it's time to go check it out. So it looks like here's the first building. An abandoned station. Here's the cinder block walls they were talking about. Fake glass, yep. I don't know if you guys can see it, but that is not a window. That's just roof underneath. But from the air and from the sea, you can't even see the sea right now. But from the air and the sea, any oncoming attackers had no clue. Nothing. These truly are just fake buildings. Fake windows, everything. And here's the second building. And that's your view. Let's see what's behind here. All boarded up. So this was all just a radar station at one point. Almost 85 years ago, probably almost 90, for some of you maybe watching this video. I'm on my way back to camp. Hopefully they cook something good. Maybe got a fire going. It's about 59 degrees out here. Nights, it's August when I'm recording this, so probably get down to about low 50s. Fog rolling in. Fall is coming. I don't know if my camera's picking it up. All the leaves are falling. All right, I found some. This is what I've been looking for, you guys. In this area, all kinds Oh, blackberries, fresh blackberries. Look at them. It's August right now, so it's peak season for them. These are so good. There we go. Look at that. Delicious blackberries. Yeah, here's another good bush. Looks like a lot of these aren't ready yet. Yeah, that's not pulling this easy. This one might be. This is a beautiful one right here, actually. Oh, yeah. Oh, these look so good. I got a little juice on my fingers. Awesome. Bon appetit. Mmm. A little sour. That's really good. That's as fresh as you're gonna get right there. Fog's coming in. It's gonna be another hazy night. Look at that sunset. As sun goes down, these woods get dark. Hopefully we make it back to camp before it gets too dark. We did see a couple bears earlier today. A mom and her cub. And while they are black bears, you know, I'd like to make it back to camp before I come across them again. They were cool though. They just looked at us as they passed by. And in this area, you know, while California has a grizzly bear on its flag, there are no more grizzly bears. These are black bears, which don't pose much as a threat as to the latter. A lot of the times, if you don't show fear and give them their space, they'll leave you alone. If you intrude where you're not supposed to, that's where you get into trouble. Ooh. Now that's a good fire. Looks like we got some beans cooking. Yeah, look at that. That's gonna taste good. And underneath here, we got some pasta. After a night of much needed rest, we set out for this popular hike in Fern Canyon in the nearby Redwoods National Park. On our way there, we came across this massive meadow in Prairie Creek State Park, along the scenic byway off of 101. This meadow was absolutely beautiful, especially on the clear day that we came across it. When we arrived, we found a place to park, hopped out, and started our journey into Fern Canyon. Fern Canyon is a gorge with walls covered in ancient species of ferns. This canyon was formed over millions of years ago when water levels were way higher. In fact, the ground that you walk on when you're hiking into this canyon used to be the seafloor. When water levels receded over time, the consistent wet weather of the Pacific Northwest brought life to this once underwater gorge. There's also a lot of signs of animals that live throughout this place too. Roosevelt elk thrive in this kind of environment, and so do Pacific giant salamanders, red-legged frogs, and even banana slugs. Speaking of banana slugs, these little guys are everywhere around here. On the trail leading to the entrance of the canyon, we spotted at least 6 of them. Oh, that one, there he is. That might. Let's get you out of the main trail. Put you back over there. I really enjoyed this place. There was a decent amount of people here too, which, granted it was a weekend, it was Saturday, but I was able to get away from the crowd and get some really good shots.
These walls are, but that's a sight to see right there.
The entirety of Fern Canyon was only about a quarter-mile long before the trail split off. So once we were ready to move on, we hiked about a mile further before we came across this.
For those of you who don't know, if you're a fan of the Jurassic Park movies, especially the first 3, I guess, maybe not 3, but still, on the second one, it was filmed in Fern Canyon up here in Humboldt/Del Norte County. And honestly, no, it feels prehistoric back here. You can see the fog up there, kind of like whisking through the trees. So I'm pretty back here right now. I just kept following one of the rivers nearby. And this is just insane. Like, I feel like I honestly feel like I'm on another planet right now. Like, this is insane. Look how massive those trees are. There's just how much growth is back here. Okay, so we're away from the people now. And I'm making my way deeper into the canyon. But a little about Fern Canyon from what I read up on and researched. This all used to be underwater a long time ago. Back when the ice ages, I believe, melted and water levels were crazy high. So once the oceans receded and land, you know, that we live on now was exposed for humans to inhabit, this whole ocean ravine, past ocean ravine, is now Fern Canyon.
After spending a couple hours exploring, we finally went back to the car and started towards our next destination. I had heard about this abandoned lumber town nearby called Falk, which was about an hour away from Fern Canyon, and I was interested in checking it out. Falk was established in 1884. It was founded by Noah Falk, a native Ohioan who migrated to California during the gold rush. About 400 people lived here during its peak population. This town used to have worker cabins, a general store, post office, schools, churches, and even cookhouses. Everything a small town or village would need to survive. There was even a railroad that connected the town to nearby civilization. Now, many of the people that worked here were lumberers, which means that they worked with timber and the logging companies in the area. Logging was hard work, and the people that worked here, the lumberjacks, worked very long hours at the mill, especially during the 1906 earthquake in San Francisco. When San Francisco was struck by the earthquake, they needed materials to reconstruct all the damage that the natural disaster caused. So they relied heavily on Falk's Redwood lumber production and railroad shipments to rebuild the city. As time went on and technology began to evolve, such as cars and automobiles becoming more common, the lumber industry would eventually dry up, and by 1940, Falk's population reduced from 400 residents to just 12. All the residents would eventually move out except for one couple that caretook the area, and most of the remaining buildings were eventually demolished in the 70s. The forest eventually reclaimed a lot of the area of the once inhabited land, and now there are loads of archaeological remains in the area hidden in the foliage even to this day. Today, the town site is now a part of the Headwaters Forest Reserve, which is a few miles out of Eureka, California. When we started hiking on the trail, we realized that the sidewalk was paved for about a mile in. As you venture deeper into the woods, you'll notice that there are a lot of remnants of the once bustling mill along the side of the trail. We ended up taking one of these side trails over here and stumbled upon some rusted gears and what looked like the remains of an old cart.
Oils and springs. It's like a rail car. They did say a railroad used to run through here. Where, I'm not too sure, but might be nearby.
A little bit further down the trail, we came across one of the last standing buildings in the area. Only a small part of the property that once stood here remained, but you could still see the stone foundation where the house once was.
Upslope from the shed, you could see their foundation to the house. Oh, their house was up here. Yeah. Right next to this massive tree. What'd you say? Oh, what? Hey. An old sink, yeah. There's some brick foundation. Yeah.
Even further down the trail, when we started seeing signs indicating that the town site was nearby, we came across this old wooden barn that had been converted into an education center.
Little barn tucked away. That's crazy. Do any of these open?
No.
Dude, they got bathrooms back here. This is not abandoned at all. So the reserves came into public ownership in 1999, and they refurbished this into this now.
Other than that, there wasn't really much left of Falk. We walked about a mile further and even scaled a few vantage points to see if we could see any remnants that were hidden in the shrubbery that we couldn't see from the ground. But we found nothing more. If anyone watching this has any more information on Falk or any spots that we might have missed that you haven't seen in this video, let me know in the comments or shoot me an email, because I would love to come back to this area if there was more things to explore, but from what we saw, I believe we kind of saw everything that was on this trail. All in all, the sun started going down and we realized that it was time to venture back to the car and go back to camp to spend our final night up here on the Redwood coast.
Anyways, guys, that's going to conclude it for today's video. If you did enjoy the video, be sure to leave a thumbs up. We got another journey we're coming up on next. It's been hot down in the valley, so we've been trying to find a lot of ways to, get out of this valley heat and check out some new spots. So stick around, subscribe if you're new, because we got a lot of things coming up. And yeah, anyways, guys, once again, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next video.